Hello right bags, it's Jade. Welcome to a Minecraft Dungeons video. Today I'm going to be spending 10,000 emeralds on everything you can buy at the Wandering Trader. Why? I just want to see all the different types of artifacts and whether or not we can get any rare ones. I'm also going to show you my favourite artifacts to use, pretty much my build, and what all of them do in terms of powers and how effective they are and what kinds of tips and hints you can have by using them in combination. All the ones that you can unlock in default and adventure mode. Now there are a couple that you can still get in apocalypse mode, but I'm still working my way through that game mode, so expect another video showcasing the artifacts that you can get once you've completed the game again. It's 244 emeralds a pop. I've got over 10k emeralds. Let's go. Go ahead and skip to 708 if you just want to see me test them rather than actually unlock them. Ooh, shock powder level 42. That's not bad. Harvester 41. This is all pretty good stuff. Harvester I already had was only level 35, so that's definitely an improvement. And the shock powder is definitely an improvement. Right, let's just go and buy them all now. I'm not going to get rid of anything. Yes! Wonderful wheat. I've been waiting for that for ages. Fishing rod? Nah, absolute jank. Never used a fishing rod. Flaming quiver's pretty decent. I like that in combination with my soul arrows or my soul quiver. Tasty bone. A really good higher level tasty bone. Excellent stuff. Death calf mushroom 46. That's probably the highest I've ever had. Wow, level 50 wonderful wheat. 45 mushroom. 46 firework. Oh yeah, that's my bad boy. So far I've got two of my artifacts that I really absolutely love. The firework is definitely one of my favourites. So I'll have that there. And tasty bone is always good. In fact, I can now have two pets. Hells yeah. More harvesters. Totem of regeneration, I've got that one as well. Lightning rod, it'd be good to get the medallion. That's the one thing I've not really seen other than a few friends of mine playing it, and oh my god, I got it just as I mentioned it. The love medallion, get in. Ghost cloak, I've not seen that one. That's a brand new one to me. That's one of the ones you can unlock once you've completed the game at least once. Briefly gain ghost form, allowing you to move through mobs and absorb some damage. 9 speed, 6 second cooldown. That sounds pretty decent. Let's put that there for a second. Oh, look, I'm phasing around. I was really quick though, really super quick. That is ridiculous quick, so it only gets you out of a tight spot maybe, just about. Oh, and there's my llama. So we spent 3,000 emeralds and already I've got a fairly decent amount of gear. Especially stuff that I've been wanting for ages. Turn up to 3 hostile mobs into allies for 10 seconds before they disappear. More harvesters. More harvesters. Soul healer, yeah, got that one before. Light feather, I'll go through these as well guys, just in case you haven't actually seen them. Let's get down to 5k, then maybe I'll just start buying some weapons. Lightning rod, more lightning rods, more fishing rods, flame quiver. Okay, let's take a stock of what we've got. Let's get rid of some of these lightning rods, we don't need 3 of them. And the fishing rods too can suck out. And we definitely don't need all of these harvesters. So just as a bit of an added commentary, don't always get rid of extra artifacts. You can stack them, so if you want you can have 3 rockets. I'm going to explain that, and we're going to experiment a little bit with some of the combinations you can have, or just what it's like having 3 of the same artifact. But yeah, even then, make sure you're not always getting rid of them. You never know when you might get a use for it. Try and keep at least 3, especially if they're around the same level. It's a real shame you can't give any of your items to friends. It'd be so cool if you could trade stuff with other players, put it in a box and offer it. Maybe that's something they can add in the future, as it is just a bit rubbish that you can't do much with some of these artifacts other than just recycle them. So I'm just quickly cycling through them now that I've got pretty much all of them. The medallion, the flaming quiver, the soul quiver, which is one of my favourites. I'm going to be showing that to you guys and why I like it so much. Windhorn, more torments, come on. So yeah, what you'll notice, even some of these I've never actually unlocked by completing some of the missions, but it still managed to give it to me. So that was pretty good as well. You can get a chance of getting one you've never had. I'm going to just blow all of the rest of the money. We're getting down to 2,000. Oh my god, it's taken me all day to get this amount, guys. That's got to be it, surely. You'll notice as well that I am getting some that are higher level than me, but the majority of them are about my level or just below. By the time you've completed the game once, there will be 20 artifacts that you can unlock or find. And that's it, I've run out of emeralds. Oh my gosh. That is crazy. Now obviously I have got a fair amount of the same stuff that is exactly the same. But if I wanted to, I could go ahead and have 3 llamas. My army of llamas will smite you. Go on llamas, get them, get them. Right, let's try the rockets out. Bosh, bosh. Damn, son, that's pretty good. So I've got 3 speed boots going, let's go. Does it stack? Doesn't look like it stacks. So if you was doing this in combination, you'd have to literally wait till it runs out before using the next one, which might be okay. You could pretty much always be in motion. Maybe if you're doing the same map, trying to find one of the secret areas or the secret maps, then this might be good for just running past a lot of the mobs. But yeah, that's a pretty interesting build. You could literally just keep hot tailing it around the whole time. That could be a really good strat, having the love medallion. 3 of them making enemies turn against their friends. I kind of regret getting rid of some of them artifacts now. I should have tested it a bit more. Ooh, mystery armor. What is this? Some black myths see the design influence of iron golems in this property shifting armor. Gives you a pet bat, 30 chance to negate hits. That's a cool new one. I of course am going to be doing proper guides for all the artifacts once I've unlocked the ones from the Apocalypse mode, as well as obviously taking a look at the armor sets and giving you a rundown on what to find. So there you go guys, that is every artifact in default mode and every artifact on adventure mode. You can see I'm cycling through, I've unlocked every single one of them. I'm not going to call out every single level what artifacts you get from it, because you can still earn some of these randomly by defeating mobs and of course buying them from the trader. If you really want to, you can pause the video and take a look. Let's go ahead and test some of these out and I'll show you why I like them. Kicking off, I'm going to show you my favourite build in terms of artifacts for going through levels, especially when you're actually playing on your own rather than with your friends. I definitely recommend having some sort of pet. Now I've only just unlocked the llama. You can see the wolf does 110 damage, 30-second cooldown. And the llama's going to do the same. It's just about what higher level you've got. So at the moment I've got level 50 llama, so that's going to be better for me. Sure, you could have 2 pets, but they don't really do that much damage. It's more about actually keeping them as a distraction while you get around enemies. And then after that I always make sure I have a torment quiver. Sometimes if I'm just farming through for emeralds, a harvester can be good because it's going to give you extra soul gathering as well. And it does a hell of a lot of damage. 494 artifact damage. But let's try my new one out. Load up my rocket and boom. Just look, absolutely wrecks anyone in your way. Now if we take a look at my rocket again, just one little beam isn't that great. But when you combine it with something that's got multi-shot, like my harp crossbow, and powerful chain reaction, this can be really good. Now I've got some more souls, I can also show you why I really like the souls. You can use it through wood, you can use it through stone, you can pretty much fire while in cover. I've lost count how many times this has helped me out in a bind. Just look how much damage it does, and it pushes enemies away as well. And that's what I'm talking about with the rocket. When you've got that equipped with your multi-shot and something like a chain reaction, it can do a hell of a lot of damage to a lot of mobs in the area. Also has some lovely fireworks effects as well. In terms of armour, you may want to combine it with something that's going to gather you up some souls more. And FYI, that's a pretty decent build, and that's generally what I run with. Anywho, let's talk about all the artifacts rather than just my build. As we saw earlier, it's got its merits having maybe all 3 slots equipped to speed boots if you really want to get in and around a map rapidly. But it's probably a bit of an overkill, a bit of a waste. In general though, they've all got 5 seconds cooldown, and you're going to get anywhere between 1 and 3 second duration on some of the highest levels. The flaming quiver is going to give you 30-second cooldown, and obviously depending on what level it is, mine at the moment give me 62 range damage. But obviously they're going to give more damage effects over time when you actually fire it, and if you've got a bow that fires multiple arrows, it's going to do even more burning damage over time. It's definitely good for crowd control. Who knows, maybe it works better against certain enemies. Now I've also built up some souls, I'm going to go ahead and use my harvester. Now the harvester I quite like as well, definitely good for building it up and unleashing it when all the mobs are about to overwhelm you. Let's try it here. Look how much damage it does. It should normally take out more or less most enemies within range. Only some of the biggest ones it will have to be finished off. The cooldown on it is pretty non-existent, only 1 second, it's all just about how many souls you've got. Again, you're going to need to combine it with something that does get you a lot more souls. I often mix that up with the Torment Quiver, but in a way it's probably counterproductive as it is going to take away souls from both of them. But I've still found no problems. I usually use my Torment Quiver and then the last resort I go ahead and use the Harvester. Oh boy, the fishing rods. Honestly, I have no idea why you'd want to use this that much. But for science and all that, let's try it out. There you go, it just pulls enemies in. It's got a few seconds to cool down as well. And obviously it does stun enemies. But normally you're surrounded by so many mobs, the idea that you're going to pull just one close to you, I don't think that's actually a good idea. It does work on some of the larger ones too. So that's one good thing. If you're coming up against maybe a bit of a bigger, harder enemy, you can maybe use it just to stun them. But personally for me, I don't think it's necessarily that great. You're definitely better off using other artifacts. Now let's try some that are going to be really good if you've got a melee class. For me, a Death Cap Mushroom is really good for melee, particularly if you've got fast moving, speedy weapons. But even if you've got something a bit more slower, it can still be really good. It can last anywhere between sort of 5 and 10 seconds. It's got a 30-second cooldown as well. And then the Iron Hide Amulet has got 9.2 second duration, 25-second cooldown, and it's going to give you a boost for your defences. Combine that with the Shock Powder and you'll be able to stun nearby enemies for 4 seconds on this level 42 and 15-second cooldown, and you've got a pretty OP melee build here. Since there's no souls, you don't really have to have an armour that takes advantage of that. So you might want to go for something like the Highland Armour, which has got loads of health, gives you a little bit of speed after dodging, but also 35 less damage reduction, and you get 30% extra melee damage. But probably one of the better ones is going to be the Mercenary Armour. It does exactly the same damage reduction as the Highland Armour, but it also gives you 20% weapon damage with any weapon. So if you find that your buffs are running out, you can go ahead and use your bow and you'll still gain some advantage from it. The only other one could be Thief Armour, as it gives you that 25% melee attack speed, or something like Wither Armour, which still does the 35% damage reduction, but you also get a bit of lifesteal too. Let's try that and see what happens, bearing in mind it's quite a low level. Okay, let's put my defences on, and I've stunned them. I'm going ahead and hit them now. And just look how much quicker I can hit when I've got it boosted. Now let's put something that's got a bit more armour to it. I'm going to activate all 3 of them. And you can see it's pretty effective. It hasn't taken too long to take out 5 or 6 of them. Bearing in mind that a lot of these are a bit on a lower level compared to some of the other artifacts. Now if things do get a bit hairy, you're going to have to be a little bit careful though. With this type of build, you definitely might want to think about something that's going to help you a little bit keep them away. You can see I'm more or less one-shotting them when I've got them all equipped. And when I don't, it takes at least 3 shots. Maybe equip that with something like Thorns or Protection if you're lucky enough to get that, as it's a powerful one. But probably the best one is going to have something like Cooldown. The Scale Mail here is not a bad shot either. 35% damage reduction, 30% melee damage. In fact, let's try that out. Start off with my Protection. Then activate my Swing quicker. And then when things get too hectic, the Shock, so I can stun everyone. Now what's it like with a good fast moving weapon? Let's try the Last Laugh instead. And it takes pretty quick work when you use it in combination. I think these melee artifacts are good, but you probably definitely want to use them in conjunction with something that gives you a bit more shielding or protection. So let's take a look at some of them. Now I've got 2 medallions, but let's actually have something like Totem of Shielding as well. So we're going to get in with a bunch of enemies and then we're going to actually use both medallions. Perfect. Kind of. So it's good for diversion, but they don't necessarily do that much damage. But at least they die afterwards. I think the love and dadding can be good, but you might not want to use it, 2 of them like I am. Also, it doesn't work on some of the bigger mobs if they're enchanted. Whoops. That's what I'm talking about. The totem shielding, I don't think that's great unless you're going through a dungeon with loads and loads of skeletons. It does protect you, obviously, it's got that shield, but that shield's so static. Obviously, it only works on projectiles as well, so that's another negative. When lots of mobs are crowding around you, you need something more. A better bet for me is something that actually gives you some healing, and that could be the soul healer. Now again, you're going to want to make sure you've got plenty of souls gathered for this, so maybe make sure you've got some armour that does gather them quickly. Let's put the frost one back on, and let's actually take a bit of damage. Oop! You can see it give me 199 health there, so that's not bad. And obviously you can keep using it as long as you've got the souls. So definitely if you use that in combination with something that's going to get you extra souls, for sure the soul healer can be really powerful, and it's going to heal up your teammates as well. It's definitely more of a support one if you're playing with your friends. The soul stealer will obviously go better as well if you are using the soul scythe, as that gives you 2 souls in every hit of a mob. Now I did want to show you properly what you can do with creepers, and you've got the soul quiver. It just literally pushes them away. I love this one, this is absolutely my favourite artifact. It's so good for keeping enemies away from you. Right, let's try the feather. This is probably going to be one of my least favourites. I really just can't see much of a benefit of it. Doing a roll attack could be good, I guess, if you're trying to be some sort of rogue. But it kind of just pushes enemies away and doesn't actually do any damage. Maybe only really useful for getting away out of a tight spot when there's too many mobs on you. But for sure I think there's better artifacts that do that. It might be a bit more harder to get, like the ghost cloak. You've got to complete the game mode first. Well, that might be a better shout. Or the shock powder, just to stun anyone around you while you're making your escape. Likewise, the wind horn I don't think is necessarily that great either. It will give a bit of a wider radius, but I'm not convinced. Let's try it out. You can see it does a fair amount of knockback damage. So definitely I prefer that to the feather. But if you can, I think the cloak is even better. It gets you right out of the way very quickly. And you can kite the enemies around you in a nice little line. Oh dear. I think I need my fireworks. So last couple as we finish off the boss fight. We've got the lightning rod that's going to do 600 artifact damage. It also does soul gathering, which is good. And it does use up your souls, so you can use it pretty quickly and rapidly as long as you've got plenty of them. And the totem regeneration. Again, this is really good. Instead of just being against projectiles, it's going to heal you up, and this can be really good for you and your friends. So I've got a fair few souls. We're going to go for the boss fight. I've not tried this combo before, so let's see what happens. That worked out pretty well. Let's call the lightning down, and it just about done it. And that's taken a fair amount of damage. So the lightning wand is really good as long as enemies aren't fast moving and as long as you're not really running away, because it aims at the ground. So if the enemy starts moving, you're going to miss, and I think that's the problem I had when I first started using it, hence why I didn't really like it that much. But for sure my opinions change, particularly for boss fights it can be really beneficial, and for slow moving enemies. And the regeneration's good, but it's pretty slow how it replenishes you. Definitely something to have support with you and your friends. And last but not least, I did have to restart a level because I forgot to show it off nearly, is the corrupted beacon. Now this is really powerful, particularly if you get a high level one. It'll help you gather souls quicker as well, but it's a bit hard to control. You've got to use the twin stick to aim it. Let's find something like that, and as you can see it does a fair amount of damage. But once you've started using it, it's pretty hard to control, and it does go through your souls pretty quickly. Definitely something to consider maybe for boss fights only, but only if there's lots of mobs spawning with that boss, or you've got plenty of souls in the bank. See, it still takes far too long to take out some enemies. I was using it quite a lot in early game, but I kind of switched out because it just really wasn't repaying enough. Definitely maybe something good if you have got a souls build. So again, lots of armour and lots of stuff that's going to get you more souls. So that is it, guys. That is every single artifact explained, showcased, and my opinions on which ones are best.